For the 9th race of the GT4 European Series, we are in Hungary. This is race 1 of 2, one today, one tomorrow, and with an hour of racing for a typically packed grid about to get underway. This 9th race within the championship promises to be a very spectacular one indeed. They've been to Zolder, they've been to Brands Hatch, Misano and Spa last time out. 3 race wins have gone the way of the Audi duo Milan Dontje and Nicolai Moller-Madsen. 2 to the Ginetta pairing of Brits Will Tregurtha and Stuart Middleton. There have been wins as well for Ravan Andreescu and Gabriele Piana, for Finlay Hutchinson and Ricardo van der Ende, and there's a tale about them to come to in a moment, and also last time out for Stéphane Tribaudigny and Pierre-Alexandre Jean with the very nice, very pretty little Alpine. Now, the grid is being formed. It is an hour of racing, as I say, ahead of us, and pole position based on a standalone qualifying session claimed by Gabriele Piana. The German-based Italian lining up with him at the front of the grid is Reinhard Koffler with a KTM. Then comes Will Tregurtha and Gottfried Pilz on row 2. Nicolai Moller-Madsen is on the 3rd row with Florian Janitz for company ahead of David Loger and Max Kobold. Pierre-Alexandre Jean is on row 5 with Mike Visser for company. Then it's Pavel Lefterov next on the grid. And alongside Lefterov is Seb Morris, guesting for the injured Andy Merrick with Stephen Patrick. Andy, get well soon. The grid scrolls through. At the very back, there should have been the McLaren of Ricardo van der Ende and Finlay Hutchinson. That's got through 2 engines apparently already, and so has been withdrawn for the weekend. And it means that we lose Ricardo van der Ende, but Finlay Hutchinson then joins Duncan Houseman in one of the V8 Racing Chevrolets, and it will start at the rear of the grid. So Finlay Hutchinson, as a race winner this year, is on the grid, albeit not in his regular mount. David Anderson trackside as the grid continues to form. Everybody making their way round to form up in the 2x2 grid formation. We don't as yet, in fact, have the pole position car looking down onto the grid. Gabriele Piana not there yet, as you see clambering out of the car, getting a bit of fresh air, stretching his legs before we go racing Reinhard Koffler. So the pole position BMW is now arriving on the scene, and for Gabriele Piana and Ravan Andreescu, who were winners in the first race at Misano, it is pole position once more, and with the safety car, the leading car, parked at the front of the grid, ready to guide them around. We will be getting underway shortly. Just slightly behind schedule here at the Hungaroring because of earlier dramas in qualifying sessions we've had this morning. There is Seb Morris, normally to be found behind the wheel these days of Bentleys, but it was one of his Team Parker Racing co-drivers, Andy Merrick, that's put him in the frame for this drive, and Seb Morris, former single-seater gun, certainly one to watch. There is the number 55 Ginetta, which is started by Will Tregurtha. Will, who is the Ginetta Junior champion, British GT4 class champion, along with the man that he beat for the junior crown, Stuart Middleton. 24 KTM, and there are plenty of these on the grid. Gottfried Pilz, who started quite a long time ago, but has been more recently the BMW 325 Challenge champion, a regular in GT4 over the last couple of seasons. Number 5 to be started here by Nicolai Moller-Madsen, starting on the 3rd row of the grid. Moller-Madsen, who came from the DTM supporting Sirocco Cup and the Audi TT Cup. We've seen him race in the Blancpain Sprint Series as well as in GT4 racing, and a very competitive driver indeed. 47 Mercedes up to the grid, which is going to be started by Florian Janitz, former karter, and moved up into single-seaters initially in the Formula Renault 1.6 category, but we've not really seen very much of him for 3 seasons or so before coming back into GT racing this year. So Florian Janitz will be one to watch, that's for sure. And the Mercedes there, you can see starting on the outside of the 3rd row of the grid. Now the Alpine, which is a very pretty little car, this is 27, one of the 2 examples on the grid, the car in the hands of David Loger and Eric Mouet. It is David Loger who will start in the Alpine, the A110 GT4, very much in its shape a throwback to the car of the 1960s, and it's one that's certainly been getting rave reviews as a road car and now starting to win as well. In the championship, just to make the point, it is the Tregurtha Middleton crew ahead of Moller-Madsen and Dontje on points. This is the car that's 3rd, number 1 BMW. Max Kobold will start. He's got Simon Knapp as the co-driver, and they could do with a good haul of points. They've been banking them solidly, not winning races, but scoring good points. Pierre-Alexandre Jean is ensconced behind the wheel of his Alpine, which he shares with Stéphane Tribaudigny, and that is another car to keep an eye to because it is another car that has been a winner this year, starting on the inside of the 5th row of the grid. It's a car I suspect you'll see plenty more of coming into GT4 racing. It's already got its own one-make championship based in France, and there are plenty of them with order books growing, set for the road as well. There is the grid, great variety. BMW represented, so too Mercedes, Audi. There is Aston Martin, the Chevrolet Camaros. There would have been a McLaren, but we've lost certainly one of them. I think the Paul Rees car, Nico Rindlisbacher's car, is there. Porsche represented on the grid, KTM, plenty of those, and so too Ginetta. Now let's catch up with one or two of the drivers before we go racing. Stuart Middleton is one of those behind the wheel of 55 Ginetta. He's on the grid with our reporter Dakota Jane.
Stuart, now you're starting P3 today, probably not where you want to be starting. I'm sure you want to be on that front row, but you're leading the Silver Championship by 18 points, so that's good. Today is important for championship points. You feeling nervous?
No, I'm feeling all right. You know, calm as usual. Yeah, obviously would like to be further up, but yeah, is what it is. You know, we're still starting ahead of our main rivals, so yeah, I think it's an alright position to start. You know, we can make it work from here, so yeah, let's see what we can do.
Now 45 cars are on track today. You know, there's a big field behind you, but I'm guessing you're looking ahead, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's yeah, just look as far ahead as we can, and yeah, just do what we've got to do. You know, I'm sure we'll be all right. Just keep doing what we've done all season, and yeah, stay consistent.
Let's see how it goes. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Stuart Middleton gets set for the second stint today. He will be the start driver tomorrow, and it is Will Tregurtha who will be doing the first stint in the Ginetta, run by HHC Motorsport, which is the Yorkshire-based, Harrogate-based team of Charlie Kemp and Jody Hemmings, both decent racers themselves, but they've made a very, very successful squad, running partly historic cars, but certainly specialising in Ginettas. They've got a long-term plan to be at Le Mans. They've won Ginetta Championships, they've won British GT4 with Ginetta, and looking to try to win this GT4 European Series this year. HHC, which effectively stands for Harrogate Horseless Carriages, which was the initial car dealership, is very much one of the top teams. However, the opposition is going to come from the Phoenix Run Audi. I've mentioned Nikolai Müller-Madsen. He will go first and then hand over to the man we'll hear from next, Milan Doncia.
Correct, as you said, David, the opposition, I'm standing with him right now. He's looking fairly confident. Are you confident, Milan?
Yeah, I'm always confident, or just relaxed. Yeah, we only have 2 rounds to go and we're standing second now. So no, we just need to do our best, and let's see what happens in the first race.
Now Stuart and Will are right in front of you. Where's the best place to overtake them on this circuit?
I got quite a lot of places, but turn 1 is quite good, and I think turn 12 is the best for us because it's in sector 2, and over there we're just the quickest. So.
Are those my sunglasses you've got on?
Yeah, I stole them from you, just a little.
Good luck for the race, thanks.
Interesting, Milan Doncia talks about the fact there are a few places to overtake, because we were hearing from GT3 drivers earlier on in the day that you can't overtake, and qualifying is absolutely ultra important, because once you're ahead and you stay there. Maybe because these cars are a bit narrower and not so aero dependent, the cars will be able to overtake more readily. Let's segue our way up the grid and see on pole position Gabriele Piana, and alongside him Reinhard Koffler. Will Tregurtha's Ginetta is alongside Gottfried Pilz on the second row, then the Audi of Nikolai Müller-Madsen and Florian Janitz in the Mercedes. Behind them comes the Alpine of David Loger and Max Kobolt's BMW, with Pierre-Alexandre Jean's Alpine and Beitske-Visser's BMW to round out the top 10. 11th is Pavel Lefterov, number 112 BMW, alongside Seb Morris. Then on the 7th row you get Nicholas Schürl and Onibert Söderström, Porsche and BMW respectively. The next car on the grid on the 8th row is the Schwede Motorsport car of Dominic Schraller. Alongside him is the Racing 1 Audi of Jules Szymkowiak, ahead of the McLaren of Nico Rindlisbacher and GT1 world champion Marc Lesengs Cayman alongside. Row 10, Paolo Meloni lining up alongside the Audi of Cedric Freiberghaus. The 11th row is Alain Vallon and Julien Varrat in the number 7 Aston Martin from Street Art Racing. The 12th row, Hamza Ovega and Akhil Ravindra, both ex-single-seater racers. On the 13th row, there is Jamie van den Black and Nicky Leutwiler, who could well win the AM Cup this weekend. On the 14th row, there is the BMW of Mark van der Aar and Nico van Dierendonk's Mercedes, ahead of Shaban Moore and Giuseppe Gezzi in his Porsche. The 16th row is Jagish Gedik and the Finn Henry Kaupi, ahead of Sasha Helek and Marcus Pavarud. Then there is Eike Angermeyer. There's a gap where Jörg Wiebahn should have been. Sylvain Debs is there. Lisette Brahms next up in the number 11 Chevrolet. And going further back, there's Felix van der Laden, there is Dario Cerati, and then Matt Nicol-Jones, Aston Martin, alongside Duncan Houseman, and it's Jordan Grogor at the back of the grid. The two Camaros at the back because their air restrictors weren't restricting as the regulations dictated, and so they lost their times and have been put to the back of the grid. So the field is formed. Jörg Wiebahn's Audi missing from the grid because that had an engine drama, but with also withdrawn the number 10 McLaren. I think everybody else is good to go. The formation lap is underway. It is the first of two races in the GT4 European Series. It's a category that's been around now for well over a decade, but it's really in the last 2 years or so that it has become this soar-away success. And now, with more manufacturers building cars, not relying on independent tuners to make them into race cars, more and more teams, more and more drivers getting a turnkey race car for the championship, the category and the racing is getting better and better all the time. We have got a car in the pit lane, and it is one of the KTMs, just looking down. And I'm trying to see which one it is that's not on the grid. It could actually be the car that should have been on the front row of the grid, because we saw getting out of the car Reinhard Koffler, but there's one of the KTMs in the pit lane. It's opposite me, there it is, but I can't pick out a number on that car. So, one in the pits. Fingers crossed, that's going to be able to join in at the end of the formation lap. It'll be obviously at the back, but it will have saved itself a lap of fuel, but it's also then got the problem of trying to get through the traffic. So the field working its way downhill. This is turn 2, the Hungaroring, which is this constant sequence of corners. Then they make the climb up the hill. And through turn 4 and 5, this is a part of the circuit where track limits has been an issue all weekend. So there the grid scrolls through. We've had a look at it on track. The one in the pit lane we suspect actually might be 23, which is the Eike Angermeyer started car. There it is. So that should have been mid-grid, and Eike Angermeyer is in the pit lane. So if the car starts, it will start from the pits. It's just been dropped down on its jacks. You see the rest of the field filing through. And again, look at the brands, the little icon there of the mark represented. You've got Porsche, you've got Audi. We've seen plenty of Mercedes representation. Ginetta is on this grid, so too McLaren. And there's going to be a great amount of shuffling. One of the beauties of these double driver races, of course, is the relative differing pace of certain drivers. So you get some cars that will be at a constant pace throughout. You'll get others that rise or fall depending on who is behind the wheel. So there's always a lot to look for. The pit lane, when you get to the pit window, is going to be very busy indeed. Between 25 and 35 minutes of the race, a pit stop, if the conditions remain the same, is 95 seconds pit in to pit out. So it is the same for everybody, and it's going to be a very busy hour of racing, that is for certain. So Zolder, Brands Hatch, Misano, now to Hungary on the back of Spa, and a different type of circuit once again. But it's great that the entry is still so strong as we get towards the crunch point of the championship season. And then, of course, there is the end of season shootout in Bahrain that's planned for early December. But now, as the cars get themselves into the 2x2 Noah's Ark formation, ready for the rolling start, there is Gabriele Piana on pole position. Reinhard Koffler is alongside him. At the very back of the grid is the Jordan Grogor-driven Chevrolet, the Dubai-based South African, sharing for the purposes of this weekend with Wolf Nathan, the former Carrera Cup Class B champion from the German series. Lost its qualifying time because of that technical infringement, so work to be done. But just look at this field as it paws its way now out of turn 12. The hairpin at 13, they will climb the hill, and there the HHC Ginetta, started by Will Tregurtha. It's going to be one to watch. Certainly the safety car as it is in the race, the pace car as it is now, will peel in. Eike Angermeyer is still in the car, but not yet at the exit of the pit lane. So as long as it stays on the lead lap, there is a chance of gaining ground back, because you never know, we might get a safety car period, especially with such a busy field. So we started the weekend with 45, I think we're down to 43, but it's still a huge grid. The cars now work their way out of turn 14. The pace car peels into the pit lane. The race director, if he's happy, will change the lights from red to green, and we will go racing now. The race gets underway. They blast away, and a good start is made from the outside of the front row by Reinhard Koffler then, who tries to get his nose in front as they come down towards turn one, but it's Piana in the BMW that does grab the advantage. Gabriele Piana goes through on the inside line. Florian Janitz in the Mercedes switches sides and gets to the inside as well. Now 3-4 wide in the mid-pack. They dive into the hairpin at turn 1 and 2, go wide, make that 3, make that 4, make that 5. Lots of them go wide, and they drop down the hill towards turn 2 for the first time. Gabriele Piana it is in the lead of the race. Second is Reinhard Koffler. Third is the quick starting Florian Janitz. The rest of the field file through, but actually the one that seems to have dropped back out of all of that is Will Tregurther's Ginetta. It started third on the grid, and looking into the pack as they climb the hill now towards turns 4 and 5. Where's he dropped to? Not third, 4th, 5th, 6th. It's dropped a long way back already. So what's going on for the HHC Ginetta? There it is. It's just, by the look of it, clinging onto a place in the top 10. They come now out on turn 5 into the chicane for the first time of asking. Whoops, contact there. The Cayman gets fired off to the left-hand side as they bounce their way over the curve now through the chicane. And up front, Gabriele Piana is trying to build the advantage. He won the first of the 2 races at Misano. Battles on lower down as number 5, started by Nikolai Müller-Madsen, tries to get onto the back of the Alpine there. The gaps open up a little bit between the top 2. Another car in a hurry, looks like being the first of the Porsche Caymans in the hands of Marc Marseille, getting on with the job as they come towards us then down at turn 12. But we'll look at the order at the end of the opening lap. But right now, as a challenge is made by Nikolai Müller-Madsen up on the inside line there to get past the Alpine to no avail. The leader, Gabriele Piana, is doing his best to get away. There's one car off at turn 12, spectacularly, because the yellow flags fly, the dust is settling. But somebody has got it all wrong at the end of that straight down towards the stadium section and gone off the road. Yellows are out in sector 3. The leaders come through there. Look, number 35 heading up towards the timing line. The Alpine just being able to maintain its place. Pierre-Alexandre Jean keeping Müller-Madsen at bay. So Piana leads the way. Koffler is second. Third is Janitz. Fourth, it is Gottfried Pilz. Fifth is David Loger. Sixth is Beitske Visser. Seventh is Pierre-Alexandre Jean. In ninth place is Nikolai Müller-Madsen. And then the top 10 rounded out at the moment by number 15, which is Dominic Schramel. The car that went off at turn 12 we understand to be number 16 of Hamza Ovega. And Will Tregurther down into 11th place. He's about to try and gain a spot back there, but from third on the grid, 11th at the end of the opening lap is not great news for the championship leaders, especially with Müller-Madsen being ahead. There is Florian Janitz coming under attack from Max Koerbold. Next in the queue, replay of the start. Out go the lights. Now let's try and work out what happened to Will Tregurther. It's just not that quick a start. Some go to the inside, some go to the outside of it. Keep your eyes, if you can, on that blue and white Ginetta. Look, it's sluggish away. Loses a handful of places off the line. So there's a problem getting going, it seems. I don't believe that Will Tregurther was caught napping because he knew exactly what was coming up, but the car just did not seem to accelerate. Maybe it was stuck in gear, or maybe there's something even more sinister that's prevented it from getting going properly. It is now starting to work its way back into the mix, but clearly a problem. And let's have a look as the field dives down through turn 3. That is at the end of the lap, number 16 of Hamza Ovega off the road, bounces off the tyres and gets going again. Right, into the race, kind of, goes Mike Angermeyer, but very slow and a lap down. So the car is in, but a lap late. Up front, it is 1-1-1 that leads the way. Gabriele Piana is 1.6 seconds ahead of Reinhard Koffler. In third place is Florian Janitz. So it's BMW from KTM from Mercedes. BMW fourth, Max Koerbold. Fifth, it is Gottfried Pilz. And where is Tregurther this time as he comes over the line? He's down another place, down into 12th. There is something not right, clearly, with the Ginetta, because he qualified third, and there, Angermeyer getting out of the way. That's another car that clearly is not right. So, although the car has got into the race, the problems persist for number 23 from the True Racing squad, the KTM Crossbow, slowly making its way, trying to get out of everybody's way, down towards turn 2. So Gabriele Piana is getting away now, 1.6 seconds to the good from Reinhard Koffler. Florian Janitz still there in third place. And then fourth, it is Max Koerbold. In fifth place, Gottfried Pilz. Sixth is David Loger. And then there's Beitske Visser ahead of Pierre-Alexandre Jean, and then Nikolai Müller-Madsen. That was the little battle there, just going out of turn 5. So Piana getting away. 2 laps are in the book. It's an hour of racing. And remember, within the championship, there are the 3 classes. There is the Silver Cup, the Pro-Ams, and the AMs. Nicky Leutwiler is the man that should well indeed, win the AM competition in the championship here this weekend. But right now here, Weizsäcker coming under huge amounts of pressure. Heike Angermeyer's race was barely worth getting into because it lasted as far as turn 2, and then the car has come to a halt. That is him done. Mercedes there, look, having a go to the inside line, trying to squeeze through, and Seb Morris does go by on the inside line. That was a good pass there, going up ahead of Dominic Schrammel. So Seb Morris into the top 10 there. In the meantime, Will Tregerfer still battles on, but still clearly is struggling relative to the pace evinced in qualifying. So Gabriele Piana's BMW boots past the pits, getting away now from Reinhard Koffler. The gap is 1.8 seconds. Janitz and the Mercedes still third. Koval is 4th. 5th is Gottfried Pilz. 6th is Loger in the Alpine. 7th is Weizsäcker. In 8th place now, Nikolai Müller-Madsen. Down to 9th has gone Pierre-Alexandre Jean. Into the top 10 looks Seb Morris. 11th is Dominic Schrammel. And there is a huge effort, which is going to come to nothing from Nico Rindlisbacher. He made his move to try to get past Will Tregerfer. Couldn't get the car slowed down in time and cannons into Dominic Schrammel. And you could see that coming. There was just no way that was going to stop. The yellow flags are out at turn 1, and look, he brakes at the last possible moment, but there's no way the car's going to slow. He gets on the grass to try and give himself some space, but the line he's on is only ever going to meet a car. Dominic Schrammel is that driver. All the liquid comes out of the McLaren. Rindlisbacher spins on the liquid, faces the wrong way, and Dominic Schrammel, the completely innocent party in all of that, is out of the race, and Nico Rindlisbacher has got a case to answer, I'm afraid. So straight away, that incident is under investigation. Rindlisbacher says, sorry, couldn't do anything about it. Well, kind of could, really. And that was to not have braked quite so late, unless, given the benefit of the doubt, it was a brake failure. But either way, it was Rindlisbacher trying to make the pass, and up the inside, cannoning into the side of Schrammel, which has put the 2 cars out of the race, and that's going to be looked at after the event itself. So, all of a sudden, Will Tregerfer has gained back 2 places, putting him in the top 10. There, look, you've got Gottfried Pilz in the Felbermayr-backed KTM. It's a good GT family. Porsche Felbermayr Senior and Junior have been around SRO paddocks for a long, long time, and GT paddocks, sports car paddocks in general. There is Dominic Schrammel, who can't quite believe his luck. He's okay, but bitterly disappointed, hugely frustrated, and hugely annoyed, as you can see, with that, because he was doing nothing wrong, turns into the corner and just gets wiped out. Schrammel, former German Formula 3 racer, Formula 3 Euro Series racer, Formula 3000 racer, and the safety car is on standby. Now, part of that is because of battered cars, part of it I think might be because of liquid on the road. Gabriele Piana leads the way, there are the yellows, look, and I think we are going safety car. It's on standby, but I can on the screen it says on standby, but there's a safety car board at the start line. So the safety car boards are out on the start line, and now confirmation that the safety car is on track. So the race is neutralised, and that means that Gabriele Piana's advantage will disappear. Everybody will bunch up behind, and the cars now turn out of turn 5. So the race interrupted by that fair old contact down at turn 1. And the drivers will slot into position. And the frustration now for Gabriele Piana is that his ability to build a gap disappears. He can't now pull clear in this stint because everybody has gone onto his tail. We've still got a reasonable amount of time before we get to the pit window, so we should be good to have the race back underway. But it does take away the number of racing laps for him. So Nico Rindlisbacher out of the race. That was the car due to be taken over by Paul Rees, and this is the other concern, apart from all the debris on the road down at turn 1, that liquid as well coming across the road. Hopefully it's coolant rather than oil. Looking at where it came from, I think it is coolant, but the officials want to just double check that before the cars are released once again. Snatch vehicle is on the scene, ready to get rid of the McLaren. It's not been a good weekend. We lost one even before qualifying with engine dramas, and now, sad to say, the Team GT entry has gone as well. So we've almost got to the end of the first 10 minutes, plenty of drama. And the race order is Gabriele Piana ahead of Reinhard Koffler. Third is Florian Janitz. Fourth is Max Kobold. In fifth place is Gottfried Pilz. In sixth is David Loger. In seventh place, Beitske Visser. In eighth place now, it is 33, which is Seb Morris. And that will put that Mercedes as the leading Pro-Am, incidentally. In ninth is Pierre-Alexandre Jean. And 10th is Nikolai Müller-Madsen. 11th is Will Tregurther. So after problems off the line, that car is creeping back into the mix now. So there is a very frustrated Dominic Schrammel sitting and watching, but his life changed markedly. He turned into the corner and suddenly, bam! Big impact on the inside, and the car out of the race. There's another race for tomorrow, but hopefully the car is going to be repairable overnight. Drivers being reminded that under the safety car procedure, the gaps must be kept to a minimum, don't get too strung out. So it's not like a full course yellow where you've got to maintain pace and speed, you've got to all bunch up, run in a line. And part of this is so the track workers have more time to work. If you have a full course yellow, the gaps don't come down. There's this constant stream. It's dangerous for the marshals. There's never a clear bit of road on which to work. By having them all behind the safety car, the line goes through and then it's clear until the pack comes round once more. So that's the reason to go safety car rather than full course yellow. The BMW then leading the way in the hands of Gabriele Piana. The car from the RM Vision STS team, and this is why we have the safety car charging up the inside. Nico Rindlisbacher, the car unable to slow, cannons into the side of Dominic Schrammel's Porsche, and as you can see, as you would expect, Schrammel very angry indeed about that. So that liquid being treated, and it will be another lap or two behind the safety car before we are good to go back to full race conditions, green flag conditions, as the cars now come into effectively the stadium, turns 12, 13 and 14 at the end of the lap, climbing up the hill. Hungaroring, which gets bad press from some quarters for not being the easiest to overtake at, really is a great place to come and watch at because there are big high banks all around it. You can go and sit in the grandstands and see quite a few corners if you're on the back part of the circuit. Even standing in the paddock, manage to find 2 or 3 corners you can see. So from a spectating point of view, it's a good place to be. The leaders go behind the safety car over the line. That puts another lap in the book. 6 are now done. There's the McLaren being craned away. Remember that all of the laps here do count within the hour towards the race duration. The car's over the timing line. And this is the scene at turn 1 where the track is getting clearer and safer. And maybe next time around we might be able to get the race back underway. From the pit lane from HHC Motorsport is a bit of a question mark as to why the car lost ground off the line. So Will Tregurther's pace, which is, as I say, improving, but certainly he lost a whole heap of ground off the start, remains something to analyse post-race. The championship leading Ginetta then finding himself down for the moment in 11th place. Grandstands are getting busier and drivers angry, frustrated, watch on trackside. Backer then out of the race with the McLaren. Marshall's trackside await activity, and there's going to be at least one more lap before the race gets underway. Car number 18 now, reports of smoke coming from Jordan Krogar's Chevrolet. The safety car will be in at the end of this lap, so we are going to go racing this time. And as the cars now work their way towards the completion of lap number 7, drivers are getting themselves ready for the restart of this first of 2 races this weekend here in Hungary. The circuit that came onto the Grand Prix calendar in the mid-1980s. It has been a regular fixture in things like Formula 1, the European Truck Racing Championship, the World Touring Car Championship been here, the DTM is an occasional visitor. It's a busy circuit, and still, of course, home to Formula 1 Grand Prix. So the safety car in this lap, and we look forward to seeing whether Gabriele Piana is going to be able to maintain this advantage, and are we going to have any shuffling of the order on this restart. Let's see then, as the cars are about to make their way up through turn 13. Safety car comes in. The race will be back underway this time. We've got about 9 minutes or so before we get to the pit window. There is the leading BMW, Gabriele Piana, then the Italian, who moved to live near the Nordschleife to gain experience of the circuit and improve his work prospects in things like the VLN. He leads the way now as we go back racing with number 1 BMW there of Max Kurbot, looking for a way past the Mercedes of Janitz, who wants to get past the KTM of Reinhard Koffler as they come down towards turn 1, and Janitz goes through up in a second spot. Kurbot thinks about the inside line but can't really get close enough as they tiptoe their way round. Some keeping away from the liquid, others having to plough through it. It might still be a bit slippery offline, but a good restart by Gabriele Piana. He is away and gone as the battle is on for second and third and fourth places. Reinhard Koffler to the inside line. On the outside line, it's Kurbot as they drop down the hill. Into the pit lane has come Jordan Grugard with a rather smoky Chevrolet Camaro, and the race leader is up towards turn 4 now. And look at the gap that Gabriele Piana has pulled on this restart. He was a second ahead as they got to the timing line, and he's building that even more, especially with this battle pack disputing second spot behind him. So you've got Janitz ahead of Koffler, then it's Kurbot, Pilz and David Loger running in 6th place at the moment in his Alpine as the cars come through the chicane. Use as much curb as you can without abusing the track limits there. Straight line it, make it as quick as you can. And there, look, Reinhard Koffler in the KTM. Very nimble little car, trying to fight back, almost up the inside of Florian Janitz and the Mercedes. The door closed just at the last second. Reinhard Koffler didn't commit, backed out of it, so the KTM, which he shares with Ferdinand Stuck, comes down now towards turn 12. There is Jordan Grugard in the pit lane. Grugard, the South African driver, based in the Middle East. We've seen him in the main Blancpain Championship in its early days. Looks as though this might well be a retirement. Car number 9 is being warned about respecting track limits, that being the Lisette Brahms driven car. McLaren shared with Luke Brahms, as up towards the end of the lap comes Gabriele Piana. Great little battle pack going on here. Seb Morris right into the tail of Nicolai Moller-Madsen. The Audi has got the Mercedes right on his tail now as they come over the timing line. Meantime, Koffler tries to fight back. He's lost his 3rd place to Max Kurbot. He's up the inside line. He's on the curve and he goes back through. Reinhard Koffler retakes his 3rd place. Max Kurbot, though, has not given up. Side by side look as they drop down towards turn 3. You've got Gottfried Pilz in the blue KTM behind them, but the BMW goes through and then late on the brakes, charging back up the inside. Good pass by Reinhard Koffler. Gottfried Pilz tries to go through as well. He's on the outside line for the next corner. So the sideways BMW, the M4 just hangs onto the place. Max Kurbot then, 1 up and 1 down, but he doesn't lose another spot. The order is Piana from Janitz. Bit of a gap back to Koffler, who's reasserted himself 3rd. 4th is Kurbot, 5th is Pilz, 6th is the Alpine of Loger, 7th place Weizsäcker Visser. And right on her tail is Nicolai Moller-Madsen, and right on his tail now is Seb Morris, and that is the 55 Ginetta stranded trackside. So Will Tregertha is out of the race. Whatever the problem was to begin with, it has got worse and worse, and the car has ground to a halt. So that's up at turn 9 over on the back part of the circuit, and as that car is a retirement, we've got another one coming into the pit lane, which is the 88 Felix von der Laden McLaren. So all of a sudden, quite a few of the teams having dramas. We are on lap 9 here at the Hungaroring. We've got some great battles going on, and we're not done yet because Seb Morris there is right on the tail of Weizsäcker Visser's BMW now, looking to try to find a way by as they come onto the brakes at turn 13. So Seb Morris in the Mercedes looks for a way past. Nicolai Moller-Madsen has already done it, and he's getting clear up the road. Accelerating their way now. There's an incident between these two cars already under investigation between Weizsäcker Visser and Seb Morris. Seb, former Ginetta Junior champion, but he's raced in F4, in Formula Renault, in GP3 before making a name for himself in GT racing, British GT champion. Over the line, they've all gone pouring with 9 laps in the book. We're not far off the pit window either. Gabriele Piana leads the way. Florian Janitz is 2nd. Another challenge made at the end of that long, fast pit straight, hard on the brakes. So 3 seconds now is the lead gap, and others still working their way up through the field. Number 31 Mercedes is the car we've just seen gain a place down at the first corner. That is Csaba Moore, the home driver, the Hungarian driver, driving for the Sellerslach racing team. Patrick Sellerslach, for many, many years, was a Corvette stalwart in FIA GT. Now here, battle is on between the Alpine and the McLaren. 89 is Alain Ballon at the wheel. So more and more little battles develop now as the race starts to settle down. Sam Morris has got himself up past Mike Visser, so a place gained there as the cars accelerate towards us with 77 now on the back. That's Joachim Kowiak, former FIA Formula 3 European Championship racer. For Van Amersfoort, going back a few years when he was teammate to Max Verstappen. He got rather overshadowed, as perhaps you might, by Max Verstappen in a Formula 3 car, but Joachim Kowiak has made a good name for himself as a GT driver. There, he goes on the outside line of the BMW. Tries to find a way through, can't do it. Mike Visser in the BMW, fending him off, but goes a little bit wide there. In the meantime, look, Florian Janitz in second place, coming under more attack from Reinhard Koffler, because as they now come over the timing line, again you see the Mercedes has got the grunt in a straight line. The KTM is a rather more nimble car, good through the corners, but it loses out at the end of the straight, so it's got to be under braking where that car has the advantage. Now, we've got a black flag being presented for car number 23, and that is the True Racing Eike Angermeyer, Laura Kreihammer KTM. So one assumes that it's got going again after it pulled off at turn 2 and shouldn't have done. So that car is being black flagged into the pit lane. Timing screen graphic there says it didn't start, but we saw it start. We saw it get into the race. It did start, just didn't go very far. Didn't get to the end of a sector, but it may well now be circulating again. We've got the pit window imminent to open. And we've got one car that's just come in, which I think is one of the Aston Martins that's just made a stop. In the meantime, Nikolai Moller-Madsen goes ahead of David Logier, so that's a place gained for the number 5 Audi. Nikolai Moller-Madsen continuing to make progress, and with the Ginetta crew out of the race, this is quite important now. Every place gained is good for the championship. Battle on here. Look, Joachim Kowiak to the inside of Mike Visser goes through, so the Audi picks up a place. And that now is going to be 9th place for Joachim Kowiak. And having gone through, starts to pull away. There is the 007, almost rainbow painted Aston Martin that is in the pit road. The street art car, Julien Darras and Pascal Bachmann. So it's not a routine stop because it's coming too early for that. So I fear this could be another one. There is a drive-through penalty. As you look at the second place battle, let's just get this out of the way. Florian Janitz hanging onto the place. There's a drive-through penalty for 112. Pavel Lefterov causing a collision with 55, which is the Ginetta. Now, does that partly explain why Tregurtha is out of the race? 112 gets a drive-through. Doesn't put number 55 Ginetta back in the race, but it might at least, as I say, go some way to explaining what's gone on there. Down to the end of the pit straight, on the inside, back into third goes Max Kobolt in the BMW. But while all this is going on for second, third and fourth places, the leader is 6.5 seconds up the road. Florian Janitz, having worked his way through into second place, is doing a good job of repelling everybody else. Trouble is, the leader is getting away. There is Max Kobolt, getting quicker and quicker, and this is what we've seen in other rounds of the championship, that the car's a bit of a slow burning. It's quicker and quicker as the stint wears on. Facing the wrong way in the meantime, number 71 BMW, that is Paolo Meloni. That's the W&D Racing Team car that gets back into the race. And how did he get there? All self-induced, wasn't it? Too much throttle, loops it coming out of the hairpin, and around he goes. The pit window is imminent to open for the midfielders. It will be open at the end of this lap. The front runners might just miss out, we'll see. So there, Florian Janitz goes through, still being chased vigorously by Max Kobolt, who's ahead of Reinhard Koffler. He's Gottfried Pilz in 5th and into the top 6. Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who's had a really good, solid opening stint, hasn't he? He's just got on with the job here, picked off places, got himself up the order. Because of the safety car period, we haven't really had to worry about Lapri, but we will come the end of the race, that is for sure. So Max Kobolt, who will hand over this car to Simon Knapp. He's getting onto the tail of Florian Janitz. Kobolt, the reigning GT4 champion. He also has driven in Volkswagen Endurance for Roll and also for WRT. So he's an experienced driver, Max Kubold. The pit window is open. Over the timing line comes the new third place car. Max Kubold goes through and losing that spot. Reinhard Koffler staying in touch ahead of Gottfried Pilt, but Nikolai Moller-Madsen, who will give way to Milan Doncic, sixth in the Audi. That could be the real sleeper in this race now. Look, he's picked his way up the order and is there ready to strike as we get into the second stint, because again you're going to have cars with different drivers on board and that might shuffle the pace. Still, I think number 1 BMW has a good chance of a win actually, because Simon Knapp is very, very quick indeed. Into the pit lane comes 76. Giuseppe Gezzi will give way to Alessandro Giovanelli. Now they've taken, what, 4 class wins this year in the AMP Cup. So the HHC Ginetta, we'd seen trackside. We then heard about the rather aggressive BMW being given a drive-through. It was damage between the two cars after contact that put the Ginetta out, but they think it's fixable for tomorrow. But that doesn't really help for the championship hopes with its number crunching post-race, and see how that's going to affect things for the second race tomorrow. Out of the race early doors. Right, here comes Koffler back on the inside of Kubold, and he goes through. Max Kubold loses the place, and back through goes Reinhard Koffler. The BMW look crawling all over the back as they make their way out of the chicane, but there, back ahead of him has gone number 22. Reinhard Koffler retakes that third place, all of which is to the good of Florian Janitz, who's getting away up the road ahead. Through they turn. We've got people being warned about track limits. We've got driving standards flags being fluttered as the cars come over the line. The pit window is open. So who is going to be the first out of that leading group to make a stop? And also, the rain that's been forecast has just started. The rain has started, and this could be important if it gets wet and if you come in now and get the right tyre choice on. So, into the pit lane comes Gottfried Pilt. You've just seen the blue KTM come in. How heavy the rain is, I can't vouchsafe, being in the palatial surroundings of the commentary box overlooking the pit straight, but the report from the camera crew is that the rain is falling, and that's going to make the track just a little bit slippery. In comes Gottfried Pilt then, in the Felbermayr-backed KTM. More and more of the pit stops cycle through. Mads Siljehaug will take over the blue KTM. Siljehaug's a very quick driver, so that's going to be one to watch in the second stint as well. Because of the number of cars, the regulations say you must come nose in, so that gives more space. But of course it takes slightly longer to get the car back, but it's all done to a time. It's not a natural, quick as you can type pit stop. It's all done to a time, pit in to pit out. More and more in, as there, look, Florian Janitz comes under attack from Koffler. The Aston Martin goes a lap down and gets out of the way. Out of all of this, all of a sudden, Max Kubold has lost a lot of ground, hasn't he? That might be as track conditions change, and the little KTM tries to scuttle up the inside of the all-grunt-and-go Mercedes, but to no avail. Flash of the lights, and now the wipers are on. It's getting darker, it's getting wetter, it's certainly getting a bit greasier, and there, Koffler goes up the inside and they touch. Janitz bounces off the road. Reinhard Koffler, rather physically, goes through into second place, but it was a committed move, and you can see now that not only is the wind picking up, but the rain is certainly coming. The fans who aren't under shelter, wishing they were, doing something about it. So, they're all on slick tyres, but that might be something that the teams think about changing if the weather is getting really grotty come the end of this stint. It was forecast that it would be heavy rain for the majority of the day. Well, we've had a really nice morning, and there, the leader can't get into the pit lane. That was Gabriele Piana into the pits, but the car couldn't slow down. The only way to combat that was to go out and back on and do another lap. That shows you how treacherous it is. So in the last 5 minutes, it has got darker and wetter. It's like someone's flicked a switch, and now the drivers are going to tiptoe round on slick tyres, and even if you do want to pit, you can't necessarily get the car slowed down if it's by Gabriele Piana. This now is a tough one for race control, because the pit window is open, you can make your choice about tyres, and there is Florian Janitz going very deep into the first corner, enabling up the inside there, Nikolai Moller-Madsen. But do you neutralise the race because the conditions have all changed? The safety car is on standby, but we will go safety car, I think, and that's to allow the drivers the chance to get a feel for the conditions. You could argue that takes the natural element of the race out of this, because it should be down to the drivers to control things off the right foot, and they've got the opportunity in the pit stop to change tyres. So the safety car is being deployed anyway, and this, I can only assume, is for the change in the weather conditions. Now, if you're changing from slicks to wets, the pit stop can be 135 seconds. It's a longer pit stop. And the thunder has just come. There's a huge clap of it in the background that even indoors was distinctly audible in our booth. So we've got a wet road. You can even smell the rain actually now coming in through the window. So it's a very, very different Hungaroring from that we had an hour or so ago when drivers in the earlier sessions were talking about how hot it was inside the cars. This is going to change the face of the race as well, because if people are now having to change tyres, there'll be longer pit stops, of course, under the regulations. But if it's only a passing shower and some try and brave it out on dry tyres, then they are going to be in the box seat, assuming the conditions come to them. It's not horrendously dark overhead, but there is more rain forecast. And the thunder sounds like it's bonfire night. It's getting louder and louder, closer and closer. So our second safety car period of what is certainly a lively race, that is for sure. And the race order is number 111 leading. That was Gabriele Piana. That's 112 into the pit lane and going on to wet, look. So Pavel Lefterov gives way to Miguel Cristobal. And the leader is in. Basically everybody will be in now, come what may, because even if you serve your stop, I would imagine you're going to change tyres. But no, Max Kubalt goes on for another lap. Now that's either very, very brave or pure folly. For a number of reasons. One is he's putting himself at risk on a wet road for another lap, and also, although he's going to get himself to the head of a queue of cars, he's going to lose that when he makes his pit stop to give way to Simon Knapp. Depending on how long the safety car stays out for, it could go against him. So I'll have to wait and see, but I'm surprised the number 1 BMW has stayed out. He's not the only one, because David Logier is still there, Jules Shimkowiak has stayed out, Seb Morris has stayed out as well. But right now, the pit lane looks more like the assembly area, because there's so many cars coming into the pit road. The forecast that we have is that the rain is due to stay all afternoon, but if I look across to the exit of turn 12, the sky is getting brighter, so this is going to throw everything up into the air. The pit window is open, the safety car is on track. There is the car that did lead, so Gabriele Piana now gives way to the Romanian Ravan Marescu. 89 McLaren, look, you can see, has come in as well for Alain Vallon to give way to Michael Stanley. And that's the car that will take over the race lead. That is Max Kubalt. Oh joy, we've now got Lightning to go with the Thunder. And the BMW carries on. The track there doesn't look that bad, does it? So the order is very jumbled. I'll go through it at the end of the next lap, as you see 89 getting away. So that now puts the Monegasque driver Michael Stanley behind the wheel, GT4 regular. Some of the back markers look picked up behind the safety car, so the order slightly distorted out on track. As car 60 accelerates down the pit road, and that is the Matt Nicol-Jones, now Fiona James, Aston Martin. The leader is in, effectively number 1, coming down the pit road, so Max Kubalt has given him one more lap, but it's hard to gauge just how wet it is. I think it might be different at different parts of the circuit, but it's still slippery, that is for certain, out there on track, especially if you're on slick rubber. So Kubalt comes in, Max Kubalt to give way now to Simon Knapp. 88, McLaren serving its stop. That's Felix von der Laden to give way to Bernhard Laber. And we are 26 minutes, just under, away from the end of the race. The rain's still falling, the wipers are still on, the track is wet, and the race-leading car was number 1. That is now pitted. So at the end of the next lap, we should get the proper order. So Simon Knapp takes over number 1 BMW. The safety car has behind it now number 16, which is the Racing 1 Audi, which will be Francisco Guedes, having taken over from Hamza Rovega. Door closes, Max Kubalt, good job done. still looking for a maiden victory this season. They've been regulars on the podium. They've actually got an account there, but not yet having had a win. But could it come in this race? Let's see. Simon Knapp is ready to go. Down the pit lane goes the BMW. Chad. So down to turn 1. The next wave of cars pours out of the pits. So I would say that's getting a bit brighter, but it's easy to get tricked with the lights and the brights of the cameras. You can see how much water there is offline, and on the restart it's going to be very treacherous indeed. So just trying to get to the bottom of whether the BMW did a tyre change or not, because if they are prepared to brave it out, they would have, of course, had a quicker stop. There's another car that's run way off the road, I think, coming out of turn 12, running deep. They're wet to go on to the Bullet Mercedes, so that's going to be Seb Morris. See in the background, he's way to Stephen Patrick now. That car ready to go back into the race. Stephen Patrick, the Brit, who lives in Gibraltar. And the safety car there that lets the field through, ready to collect the leader. Out of our window, I think it's brightening up. It's not raining as heavily. Wet tyres. Now that is at the BMW pit, so I reckon that number 1 has tried to brave it out. This is the MCN Motorsport car of Kobolt and Knapp. I think they tried to brave it out on slicks. Max Kobolt on the pit wall. It might be that we can dispatch Dakota to go and have a word with some of the drivers from that first stint and find out what the track conditions became like and what they've done about tyres. Hope being that it's a passing shower, brave it out, the road will dry, but it might not be the right call. We will see. Number 1 BMW then leads the pack. And fingers crossed, that's Kobolt. Walks back to the pit wall. So the number 1 BMW then takes over the race lead. It is behind the safety car. And I think what the race director is trying to do is just get everybody together, give them a lap to settle down, and then release the pack. 1 or 2 drivers still under investigation. The pit window is now done and dusted, so 22 minutes of the race remain, our second safety car period. And so it is number 1 that perhaps did benefit by staying out another lap, because it's jumped itself into the lead ahead of Ravan Berescu in the 1-1-1 BMW that was leading the way earlier. In 3rd place now is number 47. Now that's a car that's come out of nowhere. It's the Lechner, sorry, forgive me, he was there, wasn't it? It's the Lechner Mercedes now with Jakob Schober at the wheel. In 4th place, Mansilla Haug's blue KTM. In 5th place, it is Nicolas Scholl with the Porsche Cayman. That is a car that's come out of nowhere. And 6th now is 77, the Racing 1 Audi with Markus Lungstrass behind the wheel. So some cars have certainly benefited by the pit window and by the change of track conditions. And certainly BMW number 1 is now up front. But if it remains on slicks, as we think it is, then it's going to be fascinating to see what develops in this next stint of the race. Thunder has stopped. I reckon the rain has stopped, but maybe not. At certain parts of the circuit, certainly it's still looking decidedly inclement, but on the pit straight, it doesn't look anything like as bad as it did a minute or 2 ago. So the circuit's still wet. I know there's a safety element to putting the safety car out when the weather conditions change like this, but it's a shame that you're not able to then see who the really brave drivers are, making the most of the conditions and being able to master the wet on slick tyres before they pit. 1 or 2 coming over the line, still playing catch-up. I'll tell you what, the drivers in this second stint are also going to have relatively few racing minutes, seemingly, because we're still having cars pouring over the line as you're looking at what's happening up at turns 5 and 6, and it's going to take a while for everybody to get into a line before we can go racing. there's also the aspect of this that safety cars breed safety cars. So you bunch everybody up on a wet road and let them go, and who knows what might kick off. So over the timing line they come. The back markers. The people playing catch-up. Nicholas Scholl's Porsche Cayman going through. So no news as yet as to when the safety car might peel in, but I suspect it's all to do with trying to make sure there are no stragglers, which doesn't always happen actually. Sometimes the race will get underway with people a long way back from the safety car. And having set off when it was stopping raining, that rain has suddenly come back with a vengeance, hasn't it? Both in the pit lane and up towards the end of the lap. So conditions now are thoroughly nasty. And if that BMW is on slicks, their race has just evaporated, unlike the rain. There are the wets, but Simon Knapp, talented as he is, surely cannot be asked to tiptoe around for 20 minutes on slick tyres. That's a big ask of anybody. And it may well be that he's got to come back into the pit lane, assuming that the car did not change rubber as we suspect. One or two of the teams querying why the safety car is out, because it's not to recover a car, it's just because it's raining. But the rain is getting heavier. But they've changed on the wets for the most part, so let them go now. Rain is getting heavier, but it's certainly not dangerous. There's no standing water particularly. So the leading car up towards the line, and it is Simon Knapp leading the way. Second place is Ravan Umbreshku, who's got 4 back markers between him and the leader. In third place, it is the Jakob Scherber Mercedes. In fourth place, Mats Sillyhanks KTM. In fifth place now, Nicholas Scholl's Porsche. Sixth is Markus Lundstrauss with the Audi. Seventh, it is the number 13, Schwede Motorsport Philippe Betker Porsche. In eighth place, Alain Vallon's McLaren. In ninth place, as you see, another tyre change going on. In ninth place is number 8, which is now Koen Bogarts, and the top 10 completed by number 22, which is the True Racing Ferdinand Stuck KTM taking over from Coffer. Now, anybody that did think about staying on slicks has changed their mind, has come into the pit lane, but for as long as they're behind the safety car, it's kind of irrelevant anyway, because they're not being allowed to go at a proper pace. Safety car stays out. There you can see the rain falling, granted, but certainly not standing water around the circuit. And the drivers and the teams particularly want to get on with this. The only person that would be quite happy for it to end under the safety car, I guess, Max Kubolt, who's standing under shelter watching what's going on. Safety car remains on track due to heavy weather conditions. The race director answering the questions of the teams as to why the safety car is out there, but cars are struggling on these tyres, and let us hope that it can get going. It's actually worsened the weather rather than improved, so if the safety car has to stay out because of the rain, then we're going to end up with it taking us to the end, aren't we? Number 75 is under investigation, incidentally, for speeding in the pit lane. That is Dario Cerati and Maurizio Fondi's Porsche. So that car is being looked at for its speed in the pits. Still being told that the safety car is on track because of the heavy rain. We won't be far off getting to 75% soon, at which point you could declare a result. But I wouldn't have said it was undrivable. And lots of the team managers are saying, why can't we go racing? It's raining, yes, but they've raced in the rain before, and the drivers are used to it. So the plot thickens here. but the race director is ultimately in charge of making that call, not the teams. Might be different in MotoGP, but here the race director is adamant that he's not bringing in the safety car for the moment. Curiously, the cloud is lifting, even though the rain is getting heavier. I can see more of the scenery in the distance compared to a lap ago. Number 9 is now under investigation, which is the Duncan Houseman, now Finley Hutchinson Camaro, for crossing the white line at the pit entry. Well, how Piana gets on then for going into the pits and out again because he couldn't slow down. That's sort of a bit Lewis Hamilton-esque, isn't it, from earlier on in the year at the German Grand Prix. How he goes on, I'll have to wait and see. So the field comes over the line, but still no suggestion of when, if at all, the race will get back underway. Simon Canet leads. BMWs 1 and 2, Ravan and Breshko running in second spot. Third is Jakob Schober's Mercedes ahead of Mads Siljehoug's KTM, and then Nicolas Scholl in the Porsche Cayman. He's a soloist as well, so he's able to go for the whole race on his own. Just getting a replay of the cars generating the spray. Scholl in the Allied Racing Porsche. So there the rain continues to drop. And from 13th on the grid, Nicolas Scholl now running in 5th spot, just to finish the point about him. So one or two of those that were delayed, still trying to play catch-up, but the safety car remaining out because of the rain. And seeing that it's set in for the afternoon, according to the forecast, I think your results set in for the afternoon. It's rather hard to see at which point now the race director, having not let them go yet, becomes content to let them go. Starters, we've lost a handful with incidents and mechanical dramas, but out of the pit stops, number 5 Audi, looking to start to try to gain points back in the championship, has fallen back down into 11th place. So you've now got Milan Doncia behind the wheel of the car, sunglasses on when he was on the grid, wipers on now, but that car dropped a fair few places with the pit window. And a red flag is now being shown, so the race is being interrupted, and I suspect it will not be restarted because we've got to a point where a result can be declared, and that's a great shame that the race doesn't really happen after that pit window. There'll be some very frustrated teams, that's for certain. And the red flag shown with just under 12 minutes to go. We are at, I think I'm right in saying, 75%, and so Max Kubalt should be a very happy man. He is with Dakota, and although many of the teams and drivers are frustrated, he's probably a very happy man. That's a first win of the season, assuming we don't get a restart.
Max is absolutely pouring down here in the pit lane, but that was quite well for you. You did really well in the pit stop. Are you still out on slicks or are you on wet?
We're on slicks. So yeah, it's a gamble. When I was driving, there was some rain. Wasn't that heavy, so we took the gamble for the championship. We are third, and yeah, this year with the Audis and the Ginetta was too fast on the slicks and even on the wet, so we have to gamble, and I think we won, but I'm not sure yet. But so it's a gamble, and we didn't expect this one, but I think we won. So that's good.
I also see your team cheering for you, so that must mean that you have won the race. It's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been one hell of a season actually. It's difficult. Last year we had quite a luck, I must say. And yeah, this year we were struggling a lot with the BOP and with the setup of the car. But we were a lot of times the fastest BMW, which was the most important thing for us. But now, yeah, we took a gamble and worked out quite well, I think.
The gamble paid off. Congratulations. No restart. You have won. Thank you.
So Max Kubalt is a very happy, if wet, Dutchman, and there are some very unhappy drivers and teams in the pit lane because the race, in conditions they felt that you could have raced it, never got going. The race director takes the decision on safety grounds to put the safety car out and then to hold the race behind the safety car. It will not restart, so we have a result, but I suspect there will be quite a lot of discussion about that for the teams to get their point across. Certainly, Hungary is not a country that's never had rain before, and the teams are prepared. The wet tyres with that. It's a good job for the Simon Knapp Max Kubalt that he didn't restart, because of course on slicks they'd have to have made another pit stop. And there is a replay of number 110 BMW. That was the Nico Menzel Leipziger Visser car that finished in 14th place. That I think has another one that stayed on the slick rubber. So it's a shame really that the weather affected things the way it did. There will be another race tomorrow. The forecast for tomorrow is a lot better, bright and sunny. But Max Kubalt scampers off towards the podium. The circuit is certainly a wet one and no restart. So everybody now coming back into Parc Fermé. And Max Kubalt and Simon Knapp, the winners, with a margin behind the safety car of 4 seconds over Gabriele Piana and Ravona Marescu. Third, Florian Janitz and Jakob Schober. Ahead of Gottfried Pilz and Mads Siljehout. Nicolas Scholl, soloist, is fifth, ahead of Joachim Kowiak and Markus Lundstrass. Mark Beseng and Philippe Bethke, seventh from Alain Vallon and Mika Stanley. Mark van der Aert and Koen Bogaerts, ninth from Reinhard Koffler and Ferdinand Stuck to round out the top 10. Confirmation of who finished where behind. There are one or two drivers still being investigated. Nicky Luttweiler, having talked early on about the fact he's 19th in this race, that he could win the championship in the AM class this weekend. Third in class in that race. So more points, but I don't think he's over the line, so to speak, yet as far as that championship quest is concerned. Race 2 is tomorrow, and hopefully that is going to be less weather affected, and we'll be able to see the kind of racing that we saw at the start of that first race all the way through. The cars due on track at 11 o'clock tomorrow. Let's have a look at the highlights. It started in the dry, and it began with Gabriele Piana taking the race lead as the cars turn out of the first hairpin. Dramas for the number 55 Ginetta. That car was slow off the line, and although Will Tregurtha did gain some places back, there was contact later in his first stint and it put it out of the race. Also going off the road early was Hamza Ovega, got it back onto the circuit, but lost ground early doors. This was the reason for the first safety car. Nico Rindlisbacher up the inside, cannoning off the Porsche of Dominic Schrammel. He was out of the race and very angry about it, as you can well understand. So the safety car was deployed while the road was cleared. We went back racing and we retreated to a great battle with Florian Janitz in the Mercedes, squabbling with Reinhard Koffler. With its broken suspension there, you could see it crabbing its way off the track. Will Tregurtha out of the race. More drama down at the last corner as well, as cars started to slide and spin, and then as the rain came, we had the cars slithering for traction. The pit window was open. Some came in for wets, others couldn't slow down in time, and the race leader, Gabriele Piana, had to do another lap. Because of the rain, out came the safety car, and there it stayed. Number 1 BMW stayed out for one more lap and took over the race lead, and then the car stayed on its slick tyres, tiptoed round behind the safety car, and those drivers in the second stint never got a racing lap in. The race was stopped, and that meant that Simon Knapp and Max Kubalt took a first victory of the season. And although there's no doubt a lot of discussion about that, it's a very happy team that has brought itself into the mix now as far as the championship situation is concerned, with, of course, another race to come for the cars tomorrow morning. Red flags, sadly, ending the action. So the drivers will make their way up towards the podium. There are podiums for the Silver Cup for the Pro-Ams and the Ams. We need to catch up on who's where in the championship. Let's do Pro-Am first of all. Mark Laseng and Philip Baker leading from Markus Lundstrass, and then Patrick Zamperini and Shava Moore next up ahead of Hamza Ovega, with Pavel Lefterov and Miguel Cristobal fifth in Pro-Am after this first race of the weekend. Dominic Schrammel, of course, not scoring. Jean-Louis Jasper, Jörg Wiebahn not getting into the race, and Merrick sadly not here because of his injuries at the Spa 24 Hours. And as I said before the race started, Andy, get well soon. Lots of newcomers to the championship, meaning that we have lots of drivers scoring points over the course of this championship. And Pro-Am as competitive as ever, with Markus Lundstrass coming home as the winner in that second stint with Joachim Kowiak in this first race. The Ams, Nicky Leutwiler is almost there for the championship. Alessandro Giovanelli and Giuseppe Yetzi are second, and then it is Gwenel Delumier and Sylvain Debs third from Eric Mouet and David Loger. Nico van Dierendonk and Johan Vannerum are fifth from Lisette Brahms. Nicolas Schurl, class winner today, seventh, and you could argue that was a proper win because he had to do all the work himself, no co-driver. He is then next in the queue, and Nicolas Schurl, somebody who's busy not only in this championship but also in the Central European Cup as well. Just as you've seen in Pro-Am, there's a real spread of scorers. Some people dropping in and out for occasional races, others doing the whole championship season. And the Silver Cup, well, it's now very competitive indeed. Just 2 points between Tregertha and Middleton from Knapp and Kubolt, who move ahead of Milan Doncha and Nikolai Moller-Madsen. Stefan Tribodini and Pierre-Alexandre Jean come next, but it really is game on going into tomorrow's race. Just 2 points then now between the Ginetta crew, which retired today, and between the BMW drivers, victors in this first race of the weekend here at the Hungaroring. And again, lots of different drivers scoring points depending on when they've raced, where they've raced, and perhaps who they've raced with as a co-driver. But as the championship gets ready for race 2 tomorrow here at the Hungaroring, it's been a very lively race, but a great shame that, just like last weekend for motorsport across Europe, weather affected. Tomorrow's forecasts, as I think I said a little earlier, is due to be dry and sunny all day. Hopefully that is going to be the case, and we'll be able to see the kind of racing that we know that GT4 can deliver, with big grids and lots of excellent drivers. The 3 competitions, the Silver, the Pro-Am and the Am, all giving good racing. So it really has been a championship that's enjoying a stellar season, but just a great shame that we've not seen the best of it today thanks to the weather conditions. So it's a wet track that will greet the drivers for the next qualifying session, in fact, coming up in about 10 minutes time here. So different race directors, different ways of looking at things, but the first GT4 European Series race of the weekend is done. The podium is being made ready, and the drivers will be there very shortly indeed. And having said that, the thunder has just kicked in again, so get ready for that podium ceremony. Simon Knapp and Max Kubolt, happy winners. Simon Knapp's probably never had such a win when he hasn't had to do a single racing lap, just tiptoe round to get to 75% really behind the safety car. But a win is a win. It's maximum points as well because of the distance achieved, and that will put them onto the top step of the podium. So everybody getting ready, and it was stopped with, what, 12 minutes or so to go. So the drivers making their way onto the podium. We have the 3 podium ceremonies for the AMs, the Pro-Ams and the Silver Cup drivers. Pro-Ams coming out first. Oh no, sorry, forgive me, the pole sitters coming out first to get their Satina watches. So the drivers from each of the classes, each of the categories doing a pole position lap, receive their Certina watches, the official timing partner through Swiss Timing of the GT4 European Series. And the drivers now stand at the front of the podium, complete with a watch for the photographs. And they're not the kind of thing you want to lob to your mechanics, that's for sure. So the first part of the podium is done. And we will then have the Silver Cup drivers, Max Kubalt and Simon Knapp, to the top step very shortly. Their first victory of the season, and a brave effort to do it on slick tyres. So there we have Florian Janitz and Jakob Schober. Out comes Ravan Marescu and Gabriele Piana for second place, and the top step will go the way of Simon Knapp and Max Kubalt, winners for the first time this season in the GT4 European Series. So Simon Knapp and Max Kubalt are victorious then in our first GT4 European Series race of the weekend. Well done to them. Perhaps not the ideal way that they would have liked to have won a race, but it's a win nonetheless. And now the trophies are to be presented. Jakob Schober and Florian Janitz, a very good drive. They receive the winners' trophies. Then for second spot, we have Ravan Marescu and Gabriele Piana. And for the first time this season, the winners' trophies go to Simon Knapp and to Max Kubalt. So well done to Simon Knapp and Max Kubalt, the winners of race 1 here at the Hungaroring in the GT4 European Series. The champagne sprayed, and very, very happy, if rather bedraggled drivers. The rain, I tell you, has, as is often the case, you stop a race, it then eases. It's brighter, not sunny, but it's certainly a lot brighter than it was 10 minutes ago. But as far as the race is concerned, a result declared, and the top 3 teams celebrate on the podium. So our Silver Cup drivers then will make their way back to their teams to go and discuss one race and look forward to race 2 for tomorrow. We will turn our attention though to the Pro-Am competition, because that was a win for Markus Lungstrass and Jules Szymkowiak. And also there's the AM podium, Nicolas Schurl, the winner there. So that's his first victory of the season. He races largely in the Central European Cup, GT4 these days with this European, the Central European, which is a sort of Germany, Czech Republic, Hungarian series, and also the French GT4 Championship, plus GT4 in the British GT and in Blancpain GT Series Asia. It's getting ever more global, ever more successful. So the podium is made ready for the next combination of drivers. And there is just one double-header still to come after this. The Nürburgring, another place fabled for its weather, is in mid-September. That's where they will go to next. And then there is the non-championship spectacular planned for Bahrain in December. So we have our Pro-Am teams heading onto the podium. And for third, forgive me, the AMs rather than Pro-Ams. So you see Niki Leutwiler, then you see Giovanelli and Getzi, and there is Nicolas Schurl in his first year of car racing on the top step. So well done to Nicolas Schürrle. He's come into the championship, into car racing this season from karting, and was impressive in the Central European Cup at the German Truck Grand Prix when they ran there a few weeks ago, and another excellent performance here as well. So Nicolas Schürrle takes the winner's trophy and stands proudly on the top step of the podium. A top job done by Nicolas Schürrle, and he will take the trophy and take the champagne rather than spray. I think everyone's wet enough at the moment, but the photographs taken. And they will make their way forward in a moment for the Pro-Am podium. The circuit is about to get busy because the Blancpain GT Sports Club is going to be on track shortly. But we first of all need the Pro-Ams, Markus Lungstrass and Jules Szymkowiak, the class winners there. And they will come up to the podium very shortly. So the officials behind the podium, getting everybody ready. And as soon as we have all the drivers, they will be called forward. So our Pro-Am top three. It is Alain Vallon who will come forward for third place with Mika Stanley. For the second step of the podium, Philippe Bethke and Marc Bosseng, the former FIA GT1 world champion, very experienced driver Marc Bosseng, with Porsche fan and club level racer Philippe Bethke. And then for the top step of the podium, it will be Jules Szymkowiak and Markus Lungstrass, victorious in the Racing 1 run Audi. So well done to Jules Szymkowiak and to Markus Lungstrass. They celebrate a category win, and the trophies will be presented very shortly to them after an excellent drive. Jules Szymkowiak doing a good job in the first stint. Markus Lungstrass, again, like many of those second drivers, never really getting a chance to show what he's capable of, but Lungstrass is an experienced campaigner and somebody who will be worth keeping an eye to in tomorrow's race, because of course for that it is the other driver who will start, the other driver having already done the qualifying time. So we know, subject to any penalties, any grid drops, what the order will be for the start, and we know who's going to start, and it'll be a very different type of race, certainly to begin with the drivers that have done precious little today, having to earn their corn at the start of race 2 tomorrow. So the drivers all step forward, photographs to be taken, and then they can go talk to the team, look at the data, and get ready for tomorrow's race as the champagne sprays here at the Hungaroring. Well done, Markus Lungstrass and Jules Szymkowiak, winners of the Pro-Am Cup. So race 2 comes up tomorrow at just after 11 o'clock. We look forward to your company then. For now, from David Addison, bye-bye from Hungary.